Parinda released, it was not a commercial success. And of course, now I've just done Broken Horses, which is like a remake of Parinda in Hollywood, so that film has become cult. And I know how it felt. I still remember I went to Alankar Cinema. I think Sanjay Bansali was my assistant, who wanted me to leave India and quit immediately, because everybody who walked out of Alankar said it was a piece of shit that they had seen, and that was Parinda. So I, more than anybody else here, feel how this great man must have felt when he made films like Kagaz Ke Phool, absolute classics that did not work on at the box office. And I just really am so humbled by the fact that there is a book out there, there are screenplays out there which have the emblem of my company. It makes me feel very humble, and I feel extremely proud today to be able to bring these three absolute great classics to the whole world.
Pyasa was that film that introduced me to Guru Dutt.
Right.
And the impact of it has been so much. The images of it haunt me till date. And taking a cue from one song from the film, I made an entire movie, Gulal.
Which song was that?
Ye mehlon ye takhton ye taajon ki duniya. Duniya agar mil gayi. That song became the basis for an entire movie, Gulal, that I made. His language was it was so unlike other filmmakers that for the first time I was curious to know who shot this film, who wrote these dialogues. No other film did that to me before Pyasa. When I saw Pyasa, I wanted to know who's the cinematographer of the film, who's the one who wrote the film, who's done these songs, who wrote these songs. And that I have never paid attention to watching movies before 1993.
And after?
After that, I only noticed that. I don't notice who's the actor.
Well, for me, firstly to start with, one similarity that I do share with Anurag is my introduction to him was through Pyasa.
Okay.
And I thank my mother profusely for introducing me to his work through Pyasa. I think what really sustains in his work is his relevance, even today, in terms of his subject material, his social conscience, things that he spoke about that affected him obviously very deeply, that were happening around him, are still relevant even today. So when you hear his songs, Ye Duniya Agar Mil Bhi Jaye To Kya Hai, when you hear Jine Naaz Hai Hind Par Wo Kaha Hai, all of these issues that he talks about, all these social taboos or certain discrimination, oppression, what he sees around him that he speaks about is relevant even today.
I completely agree with the essence of what they are saying, and certain things like those moments stay with you, that those beams stay with you, the people stay with you, the music stays with you like nothing else, and the complete union of the music with the visual stays with you more often than not. Often we deal with cinema which has the music and the visual going into opposite directions, because two people who really don't know each other very well, which is the music director and the director, are sitting miles apart trying to do something to the film, having not discussed together what it's supposed to be. I'm talking about being accepted as somebody who has contributed something significant. Somebody's taken a step forward. Now, the lesson to learn from that is that it's okay to be rejected. I think today, especially over the last 10 years, when Hindi cinema and the independent Hindi cinema is coming of age and all that, the pressure to be accepted has also gone up. It wasn't so much when we guys started out about 8-10 years ago. The pressure to be accepted, the pressure to be talked about, the pressure to be patted on the back, the pressure to be praised is huge. And if you are rejected, if you're not accepted, if your work is seen by less people than the most forgiving threshold that can be, then you're nothing. And what that does is that it makes sheep out of men and women and directors.
True.
So the main lesson I think today's generation has to learn from Guru Dutt's films and Guru Dutt's career and his life is that we were just talking that his life more or less imitated this film. he was a broken man after that. Now, I don't know the exact details, you guys would know better.
To me, Guru Dutt's films and Guru Dutt's personality go hand in hand. He was one man who stood by his conviction and who made movies. And I spoke to Mr. Devanand at length about Guru Dutt, because Guru Dutt I could not meet. He had gone before I arrived here. So I spoke to Dev Saab at length. Dev Saab was very close to him. And Dev Saab told me how. Dev Saab was perhaps the last man who met him before he died. So my knowledge of Guru Dutt is actually through Devanand. And he said to me that he was broken, of course, after Kagaz Ke Phool. But the critical thing for me is that today what we have become, and that is why I'm glad that we have, Farhan, Dibakar and Anurag here, is because these are perhaps not people who are getting caught with what is happening on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. My biggest problem with cinema, and that is my biggest learning from Guru Dutt, is that don't look on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Don't look on opening कितना लगा है. अभी इसका फिल्म रिलीज हो रहा है. मेरा तो इंग्लिश फिल्म है ब्रोकन हॉर्सेस, उसको तो ओपनिंग लगने वाला ही नहीं है. लेकिन यार मैं ओपनिंग के लिए नहीं बना रहा हूँ.